everyone, this is Nikki, and I'm here to show you a fun card recipe that will help you create easy, stunning cards that are pretty quick and easy to make. You can use what you have. I am showing you some options: background stamps, stencils, embossing folders. This other one is a press plate for the BetterPress system. All of these things will create a background, and we're going to keep our background kind of monotone so that we are not using tons of ink colors. I'm trying to get this to where you have a recipe that you can easily fall back on if you're having trouble being creative, or if you just need to make quite a few cards at a time. I'm going to be using this pattern, which is called Baroque Elegance, and it's just kind of like a florally background. You could do this with stamps, stencils, embossing folders. Like I said, I'm just going to be using a press plate. If you don't know what that is, it's a type of letterpress system where you press the ink into the paper. So it's kind of like stamping, it's just with a different machine, and I'm going to show you a few tips with that, but mainly we're talking about our card recipe. Next, we need some big sentiments, and sentiments are the words that you're going to use on your card. Do you see how big these are? So I've got several different sets from Altenew of words that are pretty large. We want this to take up a decent part of our card because we have that element of kind of that busier, elegant background plus some really nice fonts in the words. And then all we really have to do after that is add some different embellishments and some different card designs to create unique but easy, stunning cards. Okay, so I'm going to use this set that has "Have a Good Day," "Hi," "Smiles," and I'll show you how I use those as we continue. The third part of our recipe is to use a simple color scheme. I feel like this gives your card a very elegant and clean look. So I'm going to use 4 inks from Altenew that are all in the same family. If you do not have 4 inks of one color, you could always just do layers of the color and build it up with your ink blending. So you could start with a light and then go to the next level and the next. And that will give some variation in your background that gives it those extra elements. The last part of our card recipe, I'm going to call extras, okay? So grabbing embellishments that'll work, grabbing some type of frame or shape like a square or a rectangle. I'm going to use that fancy frame, and then looking through scraps of things that you have. This could be paper. It could be pieces of ribbon. If you're like me, I keep little pieces of twine and ribbon, and I tend to keep them kind of color coded so that when I'm using a certain color scheme, I can grab some of those pieces and put them on my project. Okay, so I'm going to take you through quick little steps of BetterPress, but like I said, we're working on our project. This could be stencils, it could be anything. With the BetterPress, I go ahead and attach my piece of paper, and then I'm going to add ink directly to the plate. You could do this through a stencil, you could add directly to an embossing folder, but it's nice when you have these 3 colors because you can take your stamp pad directly to it and create an ombre effect. So I'm going in order of the stamp pads, which is the lightest to darkest, and I'm kind of making like stripes on this background. So I'm going through all 4 of the colors on this one, and I'm just adding the ink here. And don't worry that your ink, I mean, as long as you don't take forever to do this, this ink is made to not dry super fast. Most inks that you use for ink blending and stamping are made to stay wet for a little bit so that you can do different techniques with them. And this Altenew ink is the same. So you don't have to worry that it's going to dry before you put it on your paper. The reason that I chose a BetterPress for my background is because it does give such a crisp impression, and it's so easy. If I was worried about this little top corner here, I can add a little bit more ink to it since it's been a while. I usually clean up the plate a little bit with a Q-tip just to make sure that I got my ink only on the area that's an impression. So if you're doing a background stamp, just make sure you clean up and that you're going to get that nice, clean, crisp transfer from either a stencil or whatever you're using that just gives your cards a more stunning and professional look. So for the BetterPress, you have this top plate that you're putting on top, and I love that it has a place where it actually uses magnets to hold it. That paper has to be pressed down through a die cutting machine, and then you lift it up and look at the results. It's a background that's ombre. It's going to look so beautiful with a nice big sentiment on it. So I think the quickest way to complete lots of cards and have yourself a nice little set is to do all the backgrounds first, then we'll start adding other stuff. So on that last one, I felt like the bottom third of that card, the two colors kind of ran together. So I'm going to make this one just three colors, and I like how that turned out better, but of course I'm going to still use the other one. So I did this same process with one white piece of cardstock, and then I used a light gray piece of cardstock. So it's the same pattern, but it just has that slightly different background feel, and that light gray is neutral, so it gives us a lot of ideas. The last background to me is the most stunning and elegant, and it's just using two colors. So I'm taking the lightest color and I'm adding it all over the background. And I'm doing this with the ink pad, but I also have a blending brush right here because I want to create this like soft, elegant look. And adding that blending brush makes sure that there's not any big drops of ink, that I can keep the image pretty light. And I know it's hard to see on this background because this ink is so light colored, but let me show you what it looks like once I do this. So we do one layer with the light color. You could do this with stencil or embossing. You're adding a light color, and now you're going in and you're making extra details. So I'm taking a very small brush. I'm using the second color in my family, which is darker than the previous. And I'm just doing like the middle of these little flowers and leaves. Now, if you had a stencil, you could pick a detail that you're going to highlight and just add a little darker color in the center or on the edges. And that's the same general idea. You could even do this with a background stamp. Just keep the stamp in a stamp positioner and add those details. And let's show you what this looks like with those extra details. And I just love how this looks. Let me show you a little closer. So you've got that difference. Now let's look at all the panels that we've created. However many you've created, grab them and let's add some details to these to create some amazing cards. The first way I'm going to add details is by grabbing a frame. Now this one is a very fancy frame, but you could grab a square, a circle, some type of really large object for the front of your card. I actually used this one to kind of distract from an area I made a mistake because this is going to be our focal point for one of the cards. So I'm going to put a frame and then I'm going to put a very large sentiment to complete this card. It says, "Have a good day." You'll see the rest of it in just a second. Now look how this is here. So you've got this huge sentiment in the middle. I like that the frame has an open center, so definitely make it a frame, not just a solid image. Then you can see your beautiful background work. And then when you put this big, large sentiment, that is going to be the focal point. So I ended up going around and adding a few jewels to this frame just to make a little extra detail. Quick tip, when you're not sure what color or size you want to use, grab the jewels out of the package and hold them over your project. And you usually get a good feel for what color jewel or thing looks the best for your project. Here's a finished photo so you can see all of those embellishments and how amazing this card looks. This next one is the one we're going to look at, and I love this card. It might be my favorite on how it turned out. So I needed to make a diagonal line where I wanted the smiles to be. And so I'm using a T ruler and I'm going to draw all the way across the paper very lightly. And the reason I'm doing all the way across is because I want to be able to line that die cut up in the middle, and having the line all the way across is going to help me do that. So now you need your shadow die. So this definitely works easier if you've got a shadow die. And I'm going to zoom up to this so that you can see how I'm lining the edges with that really light pencil line to keep the word smiles in the same diagonal. So I'm going to line it up, tape it down carefully, and then I'm going to partially die cut this. And by that, I mean we're going to run it through where the cutting plate is on a portion of it and doesn't cut the whole thing. The other reason I like that pencil line is because now I'm going to cut half of this and I've got a perfect line to line up my top cutting plate. So you can line it up on top or bottom. I had to think about which way I was going with this, and you need to remember which way your word goes. I want the top of my word to be cut out, not the bottom. So I had that almost messed up there. So now I'm going to cut the top of the word, and you see how I have the cutting plate halfway across? The die cutting machine is only going to cut what this cutting cutting plate is on. So you're going to have to hold your plates carefully and run it through. Okay, now check this out. I'm going to lift it up so you can see. It's cut the top of the word, but not the rest of the piece of paper because we're only cutting where that die was. But you have your beautiful straight line. So you can easily take your scissors, follow that straight line, and cut to the edge of Smiles. So I'm going to do a couple of quick cuts to get this piece completely separate. And I love having those lines because that really helps you keep it all in the same plane. And if they're still left after you've cut, you can always use an eraser and get rid of whatever pencil lines there were. But here's how that final piece looks. I'm being cautious that I don't cut into my Smiles with this. But look at this. So I know I'm going to use Smiles, and I decided I'd put a little sentiment right there at the edge of it. And I looked at some of these. This one says stay strong. So Smiles, stay strong. I liked it because it fits perfectly right there. Then I'm going to put my panels together, trim them up to where they fit on an A2 size. You could leave it like it is, or you could add a little extra. And I loved these little glass pearls because they fit really well in my design. And look at how cute they are. I know that you don't see them from far off, but it makes this card look so special up close. And I just did the middle of each flower with a teeny little pearl. Don't forget those embellishments. They can make your card super awesome. This is another one of the backgrounds. This is actually the light gray, and I grabbed a piece of ribbon, another one of those amazing sentiments, and then stamped "Have a super day." So, hi, have a super day. This to me could work as a birthday card. It can work as just a little hello card, but it's simple, straightforward, and super cute. For the last card in our series, I decided to use that same frame that I'd used on the bold "Have a good day" and create a little shaker element. Now, this is not something that if you want to do it, do it. That's what I'm going to say. But shaker cards sometimes are, especially if I use the vellum like I did, you're not going to be able to see these shaker elements great. So it's a good way to use up ones that you don't really like, as long as they're silver or they're blue or there's something that kind of coordinates. Having that vellum cover for the shaker element means that you can kind of see generally what's in there, but it doesn't have to match exactly. And that's something that I tend to worry about with shaker cards. On this one, I just used some silver ones, but this would have been a great place to kind of use up extra blue ones that haven't matched other projects, because having this vellum window in this frame, you're not going to see this a whole lot. It's going to look really cool to your recipient. But as far as pictures go, and you looking at it here, you're going to just see that there's some shiny elements. You're not going to see a whole lot about them. So get out those ones that you're not using and put them in a shaker card and make that shaker window vellum so that it doesn't have to match exactly. So on this card, I used a silver frame, and then I'm going to add the word Smiles like we did on our other one, and a little sentiment beside it. So this one is Smiles, miss you. And how cute is it that it's a shaker card? Just wait. I'm going to show you these all up close so you can get a little bit better idea of the details, and a set of cards that you can make using whatever you want, whatever kind of background, stamps, dies. But it's a simple card recipe that really makes stunning cards, and it's pretty quick. I mean, we really use kind of the same details. We use those large sentiments. We added a shaker element on one just to make some, just for excitement, and really those embellishments and little elements just make these so special. So tell me in the comments which of these cards was your favorite? Like I said, really feel like the Smiles at the diagonal was probably my favorite, but I like them all for different reasons. I feel like they could work for, especially the simple high card could really work as a masculine card too. So lots of options. Okay, we're going to go through all the pictures so that you can see these a little closer. Sometimes in the video, it doesn't do them the true justice as it does when you can kind of enhance a photo to show the details so much better. So these are updated and better details right here in these cards. Make sure that you have hit subscribe on my channel if you enjoy my videos. Make sure you've hit the like button to help more people see this video. And make sure if you're looking for any of the products that I used today that you click through my affiliate links in the description of the video. That helps me out so much and I appreciate it. I think you'd really like this video, so check it out and have a great day. Bye!